Good morning, my name's Greg Ison. I'm with Ison's Nursery and Vineyard, and today we're continuing our series of instructional videos. So far we've shown you how to plant muscadines as well as how to winter prune them. Now today we're going to show you how to get the vines up to the top of the wire, and then we'll have additional videos showing you how to get the vines all the way down the wire. The first year is a very critical year in training of the muscadine plants. Our goal is to get the vine up to the top of the wire and down the wire 10 feet in each direction. Now, sometimes plants don't want to do that on their own, so sometimes we have to encourage them to grow the way we want them to versus the way they want to. Now, as you can see this plant here, a lot of your plants that you bought from us this past winter will be at this stage here. And as you can see, you know, it looks like we're doing a really good job. We've got nice green leaves, we've got growth almost to the top of the wire. So for the average home gardener or grower, they think that they're right on track, where instead we have a lot of wasted growth here. Ideally, we want the vine to grow straight up like a T, straight up to the wire and then down the wire. As you can see, we have multiple suckering that's coming out low on the trunk. All this suckering is taking away growth from where we really want it to be. Ideally, we would want just this vine here and leaves, not all this extra branching that we have. So throughout the growing season, the first year, we want to manipulate the growth of the plant so that we get every inch of growth that we can up to the wire and then down the wire. So on a vine like this here, we're going to identify the longest runner, which is this one here. This is the one that we want to keep, the one right here at the top. The reason we want to keep this one because this one is the longest one. Now if you look here, we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 additional branches on this plant. So right now all the growth is being shared among 8 branches, when ideally all the growth would be going to this one right here. So whether it's April, May, June, July, or August, it's okay to prune vines at this stage of the growing season. Now what we want to do is come in here and prune out any growth that we don't need. So, for example, this plant, this sucker here, we know we're not going to use it to get up and down the wire, so we're going to come in here and clip it out right here. Now what's important to do, and you notice I didn't prune it all the way back to the trunk. We want to leave the leaf closest to the trunk remaining. So on this sucker here, you know, that's the leaf that's closest to the trunk, and we'll prune that out here. And then we'll come in here and prune it out here. Now, if you could kind of come in and get a close-up, this is what the initial sucker will look like. Now, obviously it has grown out this far, but the initial suckering will look like this here. But there again, we'll leave the leaf closest to the trunk and prune out any excess growth right there. And there again, we have these 2 here. These are just robbing the plant's growth because it's being shared by so many suckers. So we're going to come in here, leaf closest to the trunk, and clip it out. Same way here, leaf closest to the trunk, and clip it out here. So now, as you can see, we've got one more here. There again, I'm leaving the leaf that's closest to the trunk and cutting out everything else. We only train one vine up from the ground to the wire, and the suckering that comes out the side, we need to keep those removed. Now, throughout the growing season, if these begin growing again, we'll continue to come out here and clip these out, because we don't want the growth here. We want the growth here to the top and then down the wire. So there again, a lot of people are always concerned or nervous when they get a pair of snips in their hands and when they have a plant to do. But don't be nervous. You're not going to damage the plant by pruning it in the summertime. Instead, we're manipulating the growth so that we can get this vine up and down the wire as quickly as we can. Now, if you can kind of zoom in here really quick, these are the initial signs of suckers right here. And I'm putting my hand behind it. We have the big basal leaf here, And then you can see this little sucker that's trying to pop out here. Now, as long as we have the big leaf, you can come in here early on in the suckering process and pinch this off at an early stage. Now, I'm comfortable pinching this off because I have these big basal leaves here. But as you noticed, the suckers that I had pruned out were already 6, 8, 10, 12 inches long. So that 6, 8, 10, 12 inches of growth that went to those suckers took away 6, 8, 10 inches of growth that would have came up here, as well as going down the wire. So if you can catch the suckers at this point here, like the one behind my hand, in front of my hand, if you can come out here and pinch these suckers at this point and get rid of them, then more of the growth will go to getting the plant the direction we want it to. And there again, that's the very beginning of a sucker right there. So I have no problem with you coming out and go ahead and pinching those off at an early stage. The only reservation I would have is if we didn't have enough leaves here. Now we have these nice big basal leaves here, so I'm not worried about the plant not being able to absorb enough sunlight. So by keeping everything pinched and clean, the plant is neat and all the growth is being filtered right to the point where we want it to. Now, a lot of customers, or we have a lot of questions, well, what do I do when the vine gets right near the top of the wire? Because we only have one vine here, but we want two branches, one going in each direction. Well, the way we get that branching in order to get the vine to grow down the wire in each direction, once it's right up underneath the wire, we'll come out here, and you can either do it with a pair of snips or with your fingers, but we're going to come out here, and I'll do it on this side. About an inch below the wire, we're going to come out here and we're going to prune the tip end out, just like that. When I have pruned this tip end out, this plant is going to produce two new suckers. Now these suckers are the suckers we're going to keep. When they put out these suckers, one's going to be on each side of the stem area. So as they grow out, we're going to take one and grow it down the wire in this direction, and then we're going to allow the other sucker to come out and grow down the wire in the other direction. So this video demonstrates how to get the vine from the ground up to the top of the wire and how to pinch it to encourage the vine to grow, put out a sucker in order to be able to grow down the wire in each direction. But the critical point that I want to go over again and emphasize is we cannot let this vine just sucker out like it wants to. We have to keep everything nice and trimmed and pruned back. That way we're encouraging the growth to get up to the wire as quickly as possible so we can pinch it, get it to sucker out, so we can begin the process of growing the vine down the wire in each direction. I hope this segment clarifies the process in which we get the vine up to the top of the wire. Thank you.